Welcome back to GDT Tech Reviews. In this video we are going to do a detailed review and pick the top 5 best instant cameras, 2022. So let us get started and the review based on our studies and small research. If you have any personal suggestion, do let us know in the comment section. If you are for the first time, don't forget to subscribe and click on the bell icon for more videos. We will be also providing affiliates link to purchase from Amazon. Kindly use to for best offers and purchase from anywhere in the world. So let's get started. The SQ6 then is a straight-up analog instant camera, taking the Polaroid-esque square format Instax film and sticking it in a classic analog camera, complete with a retro design, an impressive feature set, and a very attractive price. Instant cameras tend to sit in two camps when it comes to design, those that shoot for plasticky and modern, and those that try instead to look plasticky and retro. The Instax SQ6 is defiantly in the latter camp, embracing old-fashioned aesthetics with a chunky design that's most reminiscent of the company's previous Instax Mini 90 model. The supersized lens housing extends out when you turn the camera on, while the hefty flash also juts out from the main body. On the back, there's a slight lip to the battery compartment, 2 CR2 batteries, included, which serves as a comfortable grip for the main body, while the slightly ridged rear also helps you keep a tight grip. Buttons are simple. The shutter button sits next to the lens on the front, the power slider is on the top of the body, and on the back you'll find another 3 controls, one button to cycle through the various camera modes, one to turn on the timer, and one to disable the flash. Beyond that there are LEDs to let you know which mode you're on, an analog ticker to tell you how many shots are left, a selfie mirror, and that's basically it. As we said earlier, with the SQ6 Instax has returned to its analog origins, ditching the digital hybrid features of the SQ10. That means no microSD storage, no fancy filters, and no snazzy effects, beyond what you can do with old-fashioned light and film. The SQ6 has a good few modes to choose from. The default is auto exposure, which is your basic point and shoot mode, with refinements designed to brighten both the subject and background of photos. We found it gave us crisp, clear photos, with some of the brightest color reproduction we've seen in an instant camera to date. Plenty of instant cameras give slightly faded shots which, intentionally or not, echo the look of faded Polaroid prints. By contrast, the SQ6 gave us colors closer to a good phone camera, which may or may not be what you want from it. The camera itself obviously has to be large enough to accommodate the bigger prints, and Fujifilm has committed to a chunky aesthetic all round, with a large grip and an absolutely enormous lens. It's probably fair to say that the Instax Wide isn't the most attractive instant camera around. In fact, it's almost certainly the ugliest, which is a bit of a problem for a product category that's driven almost entirely by aesthetics. Still, it doesn't affect how the camera actually functions, and the Wide 300 is pretty solid. Controls are simple, 2 levels of autofocus for the 95mm lens, basic flash settings, and the option to reduce or increase exposure slightly to brighten or darken photos. Given the wide prints, it's no surprise that the Wide 300 excels at longer ranges, picking up more detail in landscape and building photos than any of its rivals, but struggling to focus on close-ups or selfies, though the additional included close-up lens does improve things somewhat. Portraits can turn out great though, as long as you get used to framing for landscape, with warm skin tones, though you have to take care with the flash, which can overpower some shots. The new orientation is also great for parties, it takes a lot less work to cram multiple people into the same shot now. The design is clearly influenced by the more expensive Fujifilm Instax Mini 90, but while this model is considerably less expensive and made almost entirely from plastic, it manages to avoid feeling cheap. It's slightly smaller than the Mini 11, but still not small enough to fit in a pocket. You'll need to look to hybrid instant cameras like the Canon Zoe Mini or Fuji's own Mini Lee Play if portability is key. Held vertically, the Mini 40 is light enough to use comfortably with one hand, and the rubberized thumb rest provides plenty of support. There are only 2 buttons, which are both found on the front face. One extends the lens barrel, the other releases the shutter. The built-in flash is automatic and can't be disabled, even in bright sunlight, so you really do just point and shoot. You won't even find a tripod thread on the bottom of the body. The spring-loaded lens barrel pops up once the release button is pressed. Physically pulling it further moves it into selfie mode, which is meant for shooting between 0.3 and half a meter. Use it for anything closer and the results will be very blurry, so don't think you can treat it like a macro lens. It does mean you don't have to carry attachments around with you, though, as was the case with older Instax cameras. The small mirror on the lens barrel helps line up your shots, although the convex shape does distort your reflection a fair bit. As with most instant cameras, the viewfinder is separated from the actual system optics. It sits off-center here, and gives a generous representation of what will fit in the frame. You can often get a bit closer to your subject than you expect, which can be something of a learning curve. The Fujifilm Instax Mini 11 is a fresh entry-level instant camera from Fujifilm and a refinement of the Instax Mini 9, there is no Mini 10. As the name suggests, the camera makes use of the Instax Mini film format. Improvements include a new selfie mode and better auto exposure compared to its predecessor. But unlike its higher-end siblings, the Mini 25-26, Mini 70 and Mini 90, there are no additional creative exposure modes or special features to speak of. That said, the camera is simple to operate and capable of producing lovely images in a variety of lighting conditions. The Instax Mini 11 is really straightforward to use, making it a great choice for kids. Simply press the button next to the lens to pop it out, switch the camera on and hit the shutter button by the viewfinder to take a photo. There are no other buttons to fumble with. When you're done, push the lens back into the body to turn it off. The camera is, by default, held in the vertical orientation, making it good for portraiture. The viewfinder is a bit small, but that's par for the course with these Instax Mini format cameras. In use, I found the shutter button can be easy to bump accidentally, and given the high cost of film, that's a bummer. Fujifilm does include two accessory shutter releases that affix to the button via double-sided tape, one glows in the dark. Installation is tricky, but once attached, I did find myself less likely to pop off an unintended frame. Image quality from the Mini 11 is good through and through, compared with its peers. The camera handles balancing ambient light with its flash output with ease, in most shooting scenarios. The addition of variable shutter speeds and slow synchro flash definitely seem to give it more versatility and tricky lighting than Mini 9, which has a fixed shutter speed of 1/60th of a second. The Polaroid Now Plus represents the most complete instant camera from the newly reformed Polaroid company, combining the best of both flagship Polaroid I-type instant cameras, the Polaroid Now and the Polaroid One Step Plus. It comes with the same form factor, lens, and image quality potential as the Polaroid Now, but packs Bluetooth connectivity like the One Step Plus for control via the Polaroid Originals app. So while the Polaroid Now Plus looks like a regular Polaroid Now, the revamped app opens up a whole new realm of creative shooting modes. The Now Plus app menu now boasts self-timer up to 12 seconds, double exposure, aperture priority with exposure compensation plus or minus 2 EV, tripod, portrait, light painting and even manual exposure modes. Depth of field control, long exposures, all via the remote trigger, there's much fun to be had. In addition, the camera comes with a 5-pack of clip-on lens filters stowed in a zip pouch, starburst, red vignette, orange, blue and yellow. With app and filters, that's a lot to experiment with for what is also a wonderfully straightforward point-and-shoot instant camera. Use it straight up just like the Polaroid Now, experiment with the app and lens filters, the choice is yours. However, Polaroid prints are how instant photos should be, a delicious vintage-style square print at our preferred 4.2 by 3.4 inches size, with 3.1 inches image area, much bigger than Instax. Plus, there's fascination in itself with the complex chemical process bringing the print to full life over 10 to 15 minutes, for color prints and about half that for black and white. In the hand, the Polaroid Now Plus is just like the Polaroid Now, it's bulky for an instant camera, though it does turn out those large prints. You're most likely to keep it in a bag than your hand, and work it with both hands. The film holders now pops open via a button and film pack slots in with ease, ready to go. You've got a power button and flash button on the rear, the latter is pressed to deactivate the flash, otherwise flash is automatic. This reverse approach makes complete sense for an instant camera that benefits from flash in more scenarios than it doesn't.